Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time you're watching this video, and happy Monday. Hope you're doing very well this Monday. So you're looking to find yourself, you're thinking travel is the best way to find yourself. That's what you're thinking. Or maybe not thinking, maybe you're just a subscriber of mine, maybe not thinking that, maybe you are a follower of mine and just come to watch this video and find it interesting. Okay, great, but maybe you are thinking of finding yourself and you think maybe traveling and maybe spending a year or however long just traveling, and maybe you will find yourself that way. You'll be coming back home, this new and improved character. It's a bit windy, I hope it's not going to be too much of a problem with the microphone. So you come back and you become this new character, this new better version or the best version of yourself. So that's maybe what you're thinking. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. So what I'm going to tell you now is coming from my own personal experiences. I've traveled a lot. I've traveled to a lot of distant lands, and it's not what you expect when you go to these places and then you come back home from these places. It's not necessarily what I didn't expect anyway. So the first time I truly traveled, I backpacked in Ghana. I was there for 5 weeks. I did a backpacking trip. We lived basically. I stayed in this orphanage. I went for wanders around the local area. At times I was completely on my own. I was the only white guy in the area, and all of a sudden I had so much attention drawn on me because of the colour of my skin. And I was just backpacking. I was dressing up in very questionable clothing. I found myself so free out in Ghana. I've never felt freedom like I have in Ghana. I've been to Morocco as well, and there were still definitely elements of freedom I felt there, but Ghana, and probably other similar places as well, similar places like Ghana as well in Africa, you can probably find this freedom. But I felt so free in Ghana. Ghana is freedom!
I just want him to fall in.
But then did I come back from that trip and did I suddenly just find myself? Did I become this much happier, much more improved version of myself? I think yes and no. From all the trips I've done, I used to live in Italy, I had my own flat, I learned the language, ho imparato la lingua italiana, posso parlare italiano. Vivevo in Italia per un anno. Non sono così fluente, però posso parlare italiano. Okay. So I used to live there, I learned the language, and it's difficult to talk about, but yes, I learned a lot about myself. And then when I go traveling, these situations I'm in, like a few videos ago I talked about the dodgy hostel experiences, and then the situations as how I'll personally act, and the other situations I put myself in, like in terms of traveling. And I suppose I did discover who I was, and in a sense, and I did improve on myself, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining this very well or not. So in a sense, yes, I did, all these trips I've done, I did find myself, I did learn myself a bit better. But the thing is, I don't believe there's a point where you can suddenly be, okay, this is what I want to be. I want to be slightly more toned, I want to be a little bit muscular, I don't want to drink, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, I want to be like this, I want to be a bit more like that. You want to get to this step, but you're here, but you'd like to get to this step. I don't believe that getting to this step, then suddenly you achieve this pure happiness. And I'm 27 this year. When I'm 30, for example, I want to be this. But when I achieve that step, I don't feel like that's where life ends. I feel like, without sounding like some corny quote, life is not necessarily a trip. It's not a journey. It's not a destination. The whole thing's a journey. And I think that is some sort of quote somewhere. So apologies if it did sound quite cringy. But when you find yours, I don't think one truly ever 100% finds himself. You can find yourself, you can become a better person in many different things, not necessarily travel. It's a different job or a different situation. You can throw yourself into a deep end and you can become stronger because of it. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe you can get right to the top and be the best person you can be, and as soon as you get to the top you become blissful and happy and all sorts, maybe. But finding yourself is a journey, no doubt. Nonetheless, it is a journey, no doubt. And for me, I think it was about 19 and a half, age 20, 19 and a half, 20, around about that time, I really started to find answers. Maybe a little bit earlier, when I'd start discovering that the world is not really how it is, how it seems. Start looking into the world and realising that although this world is beautiful, and there are a lot of things in this world that are just absolutely beautiful. You need to know where to look. At the same time, I'd realised how dark, and maybe that's what I thought, how dark and dangerous and wrong this world is at times. Like the modern society we live in, how wrong it is. But at that point, I was discovering myself. I was trying out new things. I had very questionable hairstyles, and I look back on them, I think, maybe never have that hair again. And then I started travelling. I started discovering more about myself, seeing the world, and realising that this Western society is not necessarily the right way to live. It's as soon as you get out your comfort zone, you change. For me, living in the UK, it's changing your surroundings, changing the culture of going out every weekend, getting completely hammered, and all that sort of stuff, thinking that's just the norm. Work your arse off, go out and get hammered, and repeat. And then you go out into this different world. You go into this developing country like Ghana, for example, and you just see life in a different light. You sit around and have a conversation with these amazing people about completely different things. And I think those are the moments that, I don't know if I'm getting off topic here, I'm talking about finding oneself. It's all those things that I believe can help in developing in one's character. It developed my character, definitely, looking at the world in a different light, and that's how I started finding myself a bit more. And so yes, trying to go back on I'm going off subject a bit now. Finding yourself, yes, you can find, in my opinion, an element of yourself whilst travelling, but don't go, for example, to Thailand, do the same thing you do in your country, is just get really drunk and then gosh knows what, because that's just having fun. That's not necessarily finding yourself. I think personally finding yourself is being alone, is knowing how to be alone, is knowing how to appreciate your own company, one's own company. And I did that a lot, especially in Italy. I used to live in a flat on my own, and I learned then how to be alone, because I was in such a social circle back in my hometown in England. Then I came to no social life at all. I had no social life, I had no friends, I didn't speak the language in the country, and I was actually quite low about it at the time. But then at that time I learned how to be alone. And I think in those times, and that time I also learned how to find myself. I helped find myself, I found a chunk of myself. But I don't think that finding yourself is necessarily one target. I don't think you can just find it all yourself in one trip or a couple of trips, then come back being ridiculously happy and full of life and understanding life, because I don't believe that at all. I don't believe you can. I don't believe that's the case. This is all just my beliefs anyway. So I'm going to try and narrow it down now, because I think I've gone off track a little bit, so I do apologise about that, and I hope what I've said out loud makes sense. I really hope so. I want to look this back on the editing software and be like, no, delete. So if you're watching this, then I kind of think it makes sense. So yes, go abroad. If you feel like you really want to go abroad to find yourself, if you're in that mindset to find yourself, then yes, I think it's time maybe to go abroad and do it. Just do it. Go and find yourself. You might not find yourself. You might learn a completely different lesson when you get back. But like I said, finding yourself, it's not really what you think, in my opinion. It's not just one level, you get to it and you're happy. I think it's just going to be a constant journey until we leave this earth in human form. We die, basically. I think it's just an ongoing thing, finding yourself and finding out who you are. It's an ongoing thing. That's what I think anyway. So I hope that makes sense. I hope the whole thing makes sense. If I've left anything out, I might just write it in the description. Oh wow. Oh my word, look at this. Oh wow. 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 So, my wonderful people, I'm going to end it there now. Happy Monday to you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.